One of the toughest things we have to face when we quit drinking is the fear of having a setback or a slip up, taking a drink after we've decided to quit alcohol. I know for me that I had multiple attempts at day one and day two. I'd get through maybe 24, 48 hours without drinking, and then the cravings would get really strong, and I'd take a drink and I'd feel like I was right back where I started. I'd beat myself up, I'd be full of negative self talk, and it would just get me down, and I went through this same cycle over and over again. So, what's the right way to handle a slip up or a setback? The first thing is don't call it a failure because it's absolutely not. You only fail when you stop trying. And the fact you're watching this video means you're trying, you're working on yourself. So, you should give yourself a big well done for that. So, as well as thinking about the setbacks, we need to make sure we celebrate the victories. Even the smallest victories deserve celebrating. What we're doing is so powerful, so positive. It's a life changing thing that we're working on. So, don't forget to celebrate those victories as you go forward. But in terms of setbacks, I don't know many people who've quit drinking, stopped, and not had a setback along the way. I can think of maybe one or two people who've just stopped spontaneous sobriety and never looked back. But for most people, there's going to be some bumps in the road. It's not just a straight line, decide to quit, no setbacks along the way. So you need to be prepared for that. I like to think of it as learning a new skill. Sobriety is like learning a new skill. If you take a professional sports person, let's take Roger Federer, the tennis player. He wasn't born the best tennis player in the world. He had to work at it, he had to learn it, he had to practice. He will have had setbacks. He would have smashed his racket on the ground of the tennis court numerous times before he got better and better and became a master of his chosen sport. Quitting alcohol is very much the same. It's often a habit that we've had day in, day out, drinking for years and years and years. So we're learning a new skill. We've got to practice. We're not going to be masters of it on the very first day. And I know for me, it took lots and lots of tries, lots and lots of practice to get myself to a place where my mindset shifted, alcohol started to become small and insignificant to me, and where I finally started to master it, where I finally started to stop thinking about drinking all the time. And that feeling came after a few months. But to get myself to a place where I could even have 1 day, 2 days, 3 days without drinking, even that took practice, and it took some experiences of slipping up and having some setbacks along the way to get there. So, what can you do when you have a setback? The most important thing to do is learn from that setback. Use it as a data point. Instead of becoming emotional about it, beating yourself up, talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend if they told you that they'd had a setback. You wouldn't call them a failure. You wouldn't tell them that they're wasting their time. Why are they bothering? You'd pick them up and you'd tell them to dust themselves down and go again. So that's what you need to do with yourself. Talk to yourself in that same positive way that you would talk to your best friend, and use it as a data point. And what I mean by that is when you have a setback or a slip up or whatever you want to call it, but not a failure, you take a drink and then you look at the data around it. Get your journal out and ask yourself, how did it feel? What were your emotions like when you purchased the drink, when you opened the bottle, when you poured it, when you smelt it, when you tasted it? And then what did it feel like after you had a drink? How did you feel that evening, right afterwards, a few hours afterwards? How did you feel the next day? Get really inquisitive about it. And then think about what actually triggered you to take that drink and explore that. And it might be that the way you learn from that setback is that there are certain triggers that you can avoid, or that you can adjust your routine or your behavior so that you don't come into contact with those triggers for a period of time. I know somebody who used to drive past a specific shop on the way home from work, and they always used to buy their drink at that shop, and it used to trigger them, and they used to often stop and buy a drink because they felt so triggered by their old behavior. So they started taking a different route home from work, and the trigger ended. So it could be something as simple as that, or it could be something else. But unless you explore it, you're not going to get to the bottom of those reasons around why you're drinking and why you had a setback. But the key in all of this with the setbacks is to learn from the setbacks and use them as something to make you grow stronger as you go forward. So be a bit like a detective at a crime scene. Look for the clues, look for the information that's going to help you learn for next time and make you grow. And please do remember that setbacks are very much part of this journey, part of this process. We're learning a new skill, we're growing stronger. We're not going to be masters of it on the very, very first day. So don't beat yourself up about it. And what it just means that you're human. You know, the alcohol's an addictive substance. We're not just going to kick it straight away. You know, we're all human. It's addictive. It's what happens. So just be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. And think about it in that context. And if you can learn from this and become inquisitive about what happened, why it happened, you're going to just find more strength and see those setbacks as an opportunity to grow and to learn. So keep moving forward, treat it as a data point and learn something every time you have a setback or a slip up. And you'll find that those slip ups end up serving you to become stronger as you grow, as you go forward. And definitely remember that you only fail when you stop trying.